So I think I'm on the Truman Show.
Okay.
I legitimately think I'm part of a government experience on a very low-rated TV show. Every single time I go to the gym, and I mean every time, whether it's 9 in the morning, 8 at night, 2 in the afternoon, noon on a Saturday.
The same people are there working.
Same people at all times.
And they're all checking to see if you got a wedding ring on?
No, it's all dudes.
Okay.
It's always the same guys.
Okay.
So my theory is either I'm on the Truman Show or these guys must spend their entire day at the gym.
I'm going to go with B.
You don't think I'm on part of a government experience?
I don't think so.
Experiment, I should say?
I don't think so because no, I don't really think you are. Are you okay?
No, it just seems really weird, though. Like, you don't think that seems weird that I see the same people all the time? I mean, it seems like, and again, if these dudes were...
Are these people in shape?
Not really.
Oh, really? Okay. So
Not really. Like, I would say, there's one guy who's probably in his 60s. Looks like a...
Wears jeans and construction boots while he works out?
No, he looks...
There's a guy at my gym that does.
What?
Yep, there's a guy who... I was going to like a Fitness 19 for a while, and now I go to Planet Fitness...
For $20 a month?
Yeah, and he's over there now, too. He shows up in a T-shirt, like paint-covered, like work jeans and construction boots, and like comes in there and just like works out like in his jeans and construction boots and stuff like that. Yeah.
No, this guy looks like he's probably a lawyer. Like, he kind of has the same look of 1-800 Mike go for the win, yeah. Just
Mike
think,
Morse.
The guy who sings that song probably thought the 80s were over, and he'd never have a career again until Mike Morse Law Firm called him and was like, we need a jingle that goes, 1-800 Mike wins, go for the win. He's like,
Do you
say
think
no
it's
more.
G. Brittain?
There was this guy that used to come into Oak Ridge Supermarket when Joe and I worked there. His name was G. Brittain. He was like a local musician who would give out a CD to anyone who even looked in his direction.
Yep.
And he had a girlfriend / wife
/ Chiquita.
Yeah, she looked like
Chiquita lady.
She looked, yeah, Chiquita lady. She was probably, I mean, at the time we were like, she might have been maybe 25, but when you're like 15, she seemed like she was 40.
I think she was 40.
Yeah.
I think she seemed 40 and she was probably around 60.
Do you remember the bathing suit / outfit that Britney Spears wore on the VMAs when she had the snake around her neck? I must just live for you. That's what this woman would wear into Oak Ridge Supermarket.
Yeah. And like, because time has warped my memory, because I've always thought of her as the Chiquita lady,
yeah.
I think of her walking in some glam outfit with like some headpiece.
Yeah.
Makeup like Tammy Faye Baker,
right?
Like just caked on makeup, and then G. Brittain he wore
Zubaz, if I remember.
He wore like Zubaz and like band shirts. His hairline started about halfway to the back of his head,
right?
And then it was like a permed, like a long perm hair. Like his hair was shoulder length, and it was just real curly and looked permed. And then just none in front. Like, it was a real weird look.
Right. Like,
and we would see him walk in. He would come in. We'd always kind of like look at him like, this is a goofy couple. And then I remember once I was at Blockbuster Music.
On Woodward Avenue.
On Woodward and Webster, where the new where the tennis place is now, tennis and golf. And he had his CD, like, on the counter. Like, he had gone in there and said, hey, do you mind if I put some CDs? And the G. Brittain CDs were on the counter at Blockbuster Music.
I can't say I ever heard G. Brittain's music, but I imagine it's world music.
I would think it is.
Like, there's a lot of pan flute and like
penny whistle.
Yeah.
a
lot of jamming.
Yeah.
A lot of jamming. I have a neighbor that's super into world music.
Really?
Yeah, like it's really nice when you're sitting outside by the pool and then all of a sudden you hear this really loud, like, it's not like Rusted Root, like, send me on my way. It's like legit, like
Paul Simon.
Yeah, but like, yeah, ooh na na, ooh na na, ooh na na.
Which
Petty whistle.
I can't say that I don't like it.
Oh no,
I love that stuff.
Ooh na na, ooh na na.
Yes, I love that. I really do like it, and I like Celtic music and all that stuff.
But again, you
love
can
ska and reggae.
Yeah, but you can like that, and I don't even mind Paul Simon. But if you're going to play it like in the summer, just assume that everyone around you doesn't want to love it as much as you love it.
I think everyone loves a oh na na, oh na na. That's actually pretty good. I know you're making that up, but I'm like, that could be a hit.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying.
That could be a hit.
If I just offended somebody,
you know how last week we talked about if you are the greatest bobsledder in the world?
Yeah.
What happens if you're the best
African singer
at that style of music? Like, you are the best at it. Because you just...
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what...
Maybe that's not your best take, but prior to, I think you were onto something.
Okay. I think I should probably try to do that a little bit more.
You need one of those things that, like, you turn it upside down. It's
didgeridoo?
Like, yeah, it's like rain. Like
Oh, no, the didgeridoo is like the...
Yeah. And you, like, need a sitar. Like... You know, like all those like things. Yeah, you could. Maybe you're the best at that.
Maybe I'm the best African singer.
Yes,
because that was the thing for a while. Paul Simon was just surrounding himself with African singers.
Yeah, like you're the best rapper from like Pakistan.
I used to rap though.
Yeah, you did.
I used to rap, so there's that.
You had a rap group, and then you had a mode, a rock.
I've been in all genres.
Indie rock. You had an indie rock band
because I needed some time to feel. That's all it was.
You just needed to find yourself. We all went through that. I remember there was a time in my life where I was in my punk ska band, but I thought it would be cool to start a band that was more like Limp Bizkit. And I was going to call it Suburban Chaos.
You did have Suburban Chaos?
I didn't have it. I was trying to find the people to start it.
But you couldn't find a guitar player who dressed like Wes Borland?
Yeah, I couldn't find
You're like, I need one who's going to kind of look like a monkey, but also will put on skeleton masks if I want.
And contacts that are just all black. You know?
He lives in Detroit now. Did you know that?
No,
yeah.
He does?
Wes Borland not only lives in Detroit, like in like the News Center area, he's married to a girl from Michigan. He lives there, and I saw a TV show where he's redoing houses in the Detroit area. Wes Borland is on the DIY network.
Are you serious?
I swear, I saw. Yeah, and you know what? And he's actually pretty good on the show. He was always like of that band. Like, because 89X had a real big tie-in with that band. So, like, I've probably met Wes Borland 30 times. Okay. He was always the nicest one of all of them. Fred Durst was a douchebag from the start. Okay. Like, I remember the first...
Don't you dare say anything bad about DJ Lethal, though.
I did meet Lethal quite a few times. I did ask him about the house. Oh. I'm like, dude, I love the House of Pain. He's like, that's awesome. He's like, me and Everlast are going to get it back together sometime soon. We're going to talk to Danny Boy. And I'm like, dude, that'd be sweet.
Years ago.
That was 1999, dude.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, it didn't happen. But no, yeah, like I asked him all about, House of Pain, and which still holds up to this day.
Oh, heck yeah.
Knowing everything we know about Everlast, that he's now like bloated and fat and does like that country rock guitar and, only had one hit, he still, when he says... I'm Irish, but I'm not a leprechaun. Like, dude, I know all the words. Like,
Top of the morning to
yeah,
you.
I love House of Pain. I listened to them the other day. House of Pain, Cypress Hill, you put those on, it takes me back to, like, being 20 years old.
It takes me back to being a sophomore in high school, rolling around.
Oh, yeah, I guess that was older than 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, that was like our 8th grade, 9th grade year.
Yeah.
And so then I remember their second album, Same As It Ever Was, came out, like, sophomore year. And then... Because everyone was big onto that, and then the Beastie Boys came back out with Check Your Head, I think end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year, and then it was like House of Pain who?
Well, yeah.
The Beasties were back in
I
full
still
effect.
say, you put on House of Pain, jump around at any gathering or sporting event, people will lose
that's like
their
Michigan State.
minds.
Michigan State, I believe, the beginning of every fourth quarter.
Isn't it? I thought it was Wisconsin does that, or do they do it too?
I know Michigan State does jump around.
Oh, they do
in the fourth quarter, or
you go to state games, so you probably I don't go to very many Michigan State games, but
I've been to a couple.
Yeah, but they do that. I mean, dude, you put that song on, end of story. People love it. I got a chance to interview Be Real one time from Cypress Hill, and so I was talking to them, and of course I had to ask about weed, and I'm like, okay, who has the best weed? Because you've been all around the world. Favorite answer, me. I go, Be Real, you've been around. Who's got the best weed in the world? Me. And I was like, dude, that's sweet. And then they were playing like our birthday bash or something, and I had to introduce the band after Cypress Hill, but they wanted me to go out right after Cypress Hill. And so their manager has been around with them since like 91.
Okay.
So this dude like looks like scary.
Since their Latin lingo.
Yeah,
days.
but like he looks like he could be like a gang member in LA, all tatted up, kind of scary looking. Super nice guy. So I'm like, he's standing there and they're like, okay, this is Callie's going to go out there and whatever. And I was like, hey, would it be all right if I said something about how I've liked these guys since high school, or does that make them sound old? And he said, dude, that would make them so happy.
Really?
So I go out there and I'm like, hey, everybody, I'm Cal Cagno. Are you kidding me? That's Cypress Hill. If my high school self could see myself on stage introducing them, and I'm like, hand on the pump is my jam. So from behind, I get like a bear hug, and it's Be Real.
Oh,
and
that's
says,
awesome.
thanks so much. You know what I mean? He doesn't know me. I'm not pretending he knows me, but he said,
And after he hugged you, your clothes smelled like weed for 2 weeks.
I got taken down by the
washed them
SWAT
twice.
team. I go into the crowd. They pinned me down. That was a whole
Right.
other thing. I served, 3 to 6 months, though. Got out for good behavior.
Right, in Chino. Yeah, that's not going to come out of the clothes anytime soon.
What was this bit about? The Truman Show.
The Truman Show.
No, just let it go. That's not going to come out anytime soon. That's the end of it.
Fucking thing sucks. I can't do it. We'll do it live. No. We'll do it live. F it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Not an option. Forget about it.
Having a kid is always fun, and it got even more fun this week at his school. So he took out a book last year in the library for one of his classes. Turns out there's 40 of them per class, or whatever, 35. He gets the book, returns the book, and I get a letter in the mail that says, we owe $12 for the book. Now, I call the school. The school tells me that he turned in someone else's book. And so even though we returned a book, we returned someone else's book, and the person who has his book didn't return it, so I owe $12. Do I have any right to say I'd like the original book back so that I can sell it on Amazon?
Yes.
Get $12
That's the classic school system, like bait and switch. Like,
does that seem ridiculous to you?
Yeah.
He got a book, I returned a book, but since it wasn't the correct...
Like, is the other kid getting charged?
No, he doesn't get charged anything because his book got returned. Does that make sense? Maybe I'm not explaining it right.
No, well, here's the thing. There's kind of something to that. Like, let's say my daughter had a book. She needed to return it. Somebody else didn't have their book. Say they lost it.
Right.
Okay, they lost it. They took my daughter's book and turned in my daughter's book. So now my daughter's book gets stolen. They turn her book in saying it's theirs.
No.
There's no reason I should get charged because they took my book.
No, you're absolutely thinking rationally about this. They each have a scanner on them. So what I'm trying to say is that my son's book, let's say, was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wasn't returned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 was by me. Somehow my son must have put the book on the desk. They all look the same because they're the same exact book. He picked up the wrong one and returned the wrong one.
Okay.
Now I got to pay for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 because it wasn't returned because whoever picked up his book just didn't return it. Why do I have to pay the $12 and give them back a book? I'd almost rather at this point call them up and say, can I have the book back? And I'll pay you the $12, but I'm keeping the book.
Right.
And then this kid has to pay too.
Right. Right.
Maybe I'm not explaining this right.
Well,
Or am I just making too big of a deal out of $12?
Well, when you're out of work, $12.
Hey,
that's
I'm part-time.
Hey, that's a couple of hot and readies.
Yes, that's true.
But no, I mean I think it just falls into like the school. Like the school can't take because of how conniving and my kid's never wrong. the way I think parents and kids are nowadays, it's probably hard for the school to listen to you, who may have a valid point, say, you know what, I think my son just got his book mixed up with somebody else's, but he returned a book. That kid didn't return my son's book, but now we're getting charged, where the school's probably thinking, no, your son didn't know where his book was.
Exactly.
Took this kid's book and tried to turn it in. Like, I think school systems always assume the worst
of the kid,
right, and of the family.
Well, because what she said to me, the woman, and she was very nice about it. Like, it didn't get cruddy at all. Like, no one got pissy. Like, it was like, I'm making this sound like it turned into a bigger thing than it really did, because it hasn't gotten there yet. But yeah, so she just was like, well,
we'll give it till the end of the day.
Well, no, yeah, exactly. I'll be just fuming. Smoke will be coming out of my ears. She said, well, I mean, this would be a good example to teach them about responsibility. You took out this book, and you need to keep track of your things.
Right.
But it's like, but $12 is kind of a lot of money to pay for a lesson to be learned.
Well, it could be a book that you got in college where you're paying $300 for a book, and then you turn it in 6 weeks later and you get $40 for it.
I don't understand. So, okay, you've been to college much more recently than I have. Do they still do it that way? Like, I can't believe in 2018 people are still going to the store. Yeah. You're buying a book that's used, that's, $300. You go back, they scan it, and they're like $85. Then in the fall, they resell it for $200. Like, I don't understand how this racket continues.
Right. I honestly, like, I haven't been to school. I mean, it's probably been a decade since I've been to school.
Yeah, but I've been to school 25 years ago.
But I remember when my ex-wife...
Okay, I'm 41, by the way, so there's no way I was 15 in college. I was not Doogie Howser. Let's just be clear. Before anybody's like, there's no freaking way.
The math on that was awful. I remember my ex-wife, she went back to college, and she went to Madonna. And the thing that I thought was really cool... Yeah. Like a virgin. The thing that I thought was really cool at Madonna was you would buy your books, and then at the end of the semester... Say the school say you bought your book for $200. The school was buying it back for $25. What would happen is when my ex would say that you would go like toward the bookstore, and all the students are outside of the bookstore like scalpers, and they would sell you they would buy your book for their next semester
for $100.
Exactly. Like, they would give you more than the school was giving, but less than obviously you paid for it. And it would just do that.
See,
so
that's great.
There was just this little racket outside the bookstore.
Okay, so this tells you how old I am, okay? Again, I went to school at 15 to be a doctor, much like my best friend's...
Ended up on the radio.
Yeah, my best friend's name was Boner. I think I had the wrong show.
Richard Stabone.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong show
you
now.
Did, yeah.
Okay, anyways.
That's growing pains.
What was the best friend's... No.
He was a little
Vinny
Italian
Dombrowski.
Guy. Yeah, he was like the little Italian
His name was
guy.
Vinny Dombrowski.
There wasn't Winnie Cooper on that, too?
Winnie Cooper was on The Wonder Years, a whole different show.
Yeah.
Anyways, when I first started in college, you would buy the book from the bookstore, and then when you'd go back, you would have to physically bring it up to a person sitting there who was like a frat boy who would thumb through it, and it was his discretion how much you got back. So, like, if you went to the right line and they were like, F it, I don't care, I'm getting paid hourly, what do I care? Or if you get the guy who's like, this page is turned a little bit up, and there's some notes in the sidebar. I'm going to give you $12. So I had a friend of mine.
Dude, I paid $180.
Yeah, but it was like, well, that's what you want. Take it or leave it. If you don't want it, you can leave it. I remember the first time friends of mine were like, F it, I'll leave it, or I'll take it, and they're whatever. You know what I'm saying? They didn't take the money. They walked away with their book, and then got outside and were like, what am I going to do with like a Math 105 book?
Right.
Like,
you
it's
sell
great.
it to the next dude coming in.
But yet, no one had thought of that.
But
yet.
isn't that how Amazon started? Like, I thought, isn't
Do you
that
see
how
he's the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos?
I know, but here's the deal. I mean, the dude's rich, but the thing is, his wealth is estimated by what Amazon stock does.
Oh.
So today, if Amazon stock is doing really well today,
like
he
Bitcoin.
could be the richest man in the world. If it takes a 10-point drop, he's no longer Bill Gates's.
Oh.
Bill Gates's worth is in actual cash.
And they said if Bill Gates didn't give away as much money as he does,
Correct.
he would be even more rich than Bezos, which you got to admit, if you're Bezos, you're probably like,
Ramona and Bezos.
Yeah, he's like, I worked for this money. I don't even know what he sounds like, but in my mind, he's like.
But isn't that how Amazon started? Like, I thought Amazon started with just books. Like
They
it was
were a
an
bookstore,
online
yeah.
book, and then kind of open to movies and DVDs, and then all of a sudden you could start buying, a ladle or
Or nose plugs, which I bought on Amazon
Yeah.
to stop me from snoring.
yeah. So like, but I think that's how Amazon first started because you could go on there and like buy a book like. Oh, the school's charging $200 for this book, but they're selling it used on Amazon for $70.
I can't believe, though, again, I hate to sound like an old man, that in 2018 they're not putting these books on digital form. Like, why do you have to own Math 105? Why can't you just click a button and for $12 they send you a digital copy? It's not like they charge by like the
Right.
number of JPEGs they send out.
But it all goes back to the whole school thing with with loans and all
Because
that
they
stuff.
can.
Because they can. No one ever stood up to it. There was never a Jeff Bezos that stood up to it. Well, now that there's online classes,
Right.
And all these different things, and where you can buy books, and I think even now on Amazon you can rent books. Like you rent it. You pay
just-
$3 a month
Until
they
you
send
don't
the
need
book.
it anymore.
Exactly.
Because, again, you're not going to run out of JPEGs. Just like the same idea, which I still think is hilarious, when you see people being like, pre-order the new Taylor Swift album. It's like, what are we going to run out of MP3s?
Right.
Like, why do I got to pre-order it?
Right.
Unless they're going to give me something, some extra songs, or they're going to give me an extra picture or whatever it is. But like, in the digital world, you don't run out of JPEGs.
Right.
You don't run out of MP3s. It's not how any of this works.
Right.
I got to pre-order the new Beastie Boys because I can't wait to get an MP3 of it in my inbox.
The only thing that I see as the benefit to the pre-orders is like I told you. I think I told you a long time ago on one of our podcasts. I had a midlife crisis and I bought a record player. So like,
Dude, you didn't tell me that you own pieces of vinyl?
oh yeah, I own a lot. Not a lot. Not Michael Lloyd a lot.
Yeah.
But I own. Basically, my criteria, we're getting off on another tangent, but my criteria is if it's an album in my life that I have listened to from start to finish and love it from start to finish, I will buy that album.
How many Weird Al's you got?
0.
Okay.
Or if it's an album that I listened to on an album as a kid, I will buy that. But bands that come out and they might have 1 or 2 songs, I won't buy an album if it's just 1 or 2 songs that I like. It's got to be one that I listen through in its entirety so I can put it on, put the record on, listen as I do things around the house. But if you pre-order vinyl, a lot of times they'll do, you pre-order like a Blink-182
Let's say
album.
John Mayer. Let's just use John Mayer.
Let's just use John Mayer. Or a guy that I like recently, let's do for realsies, Passenger. Like, I love Passenger. And so if you order his, like, album, say it's $20. So you get the vinyl, you get a digital download. So, like, you could still put it on your iPod.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
You can still do that. It'll come with, like, some stickers and, like, something else for $20.
Oh, that's not bad.
So I'm like, I can do that. So
Yeah, it's just surprising, though, that in this day and age, they haven't figured out a way to make that less of a racket. But I know I live by Oakland University, and so I see there's, it's Campus Bookstore, and they sell books in there, and they're still $300.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, if you're out there and you're dealing with that, just trust
I
me.
used to just I would not get the book. And because, and as I'm sure a lot of listeners are hearing and would probably agree, for the longest time, like in the 90s and 2000s, you would take college classes and you would never open the book. It's all lecture-based.
Right.
So if you're writing your notes, you don't need that book. And so I was just a note fiend, still get C's on the test, C's and D's. So it didn't matter if I had the book or whatever. And so I would get through entire semesters with not having books. Like if you were taking in high school or elementary school, you had your math book and your teacher would say, okay, you're going to do page 25, problems 1 through 18. Well, it's not like that in college.
Right.
You're still going online and like doing some project that's online. You're not even using the book. So it took me 1 semester to go to OU. I'm a Golden Grizzly.
Nice.
It'd take me 1 semester to be like, I just spent $1,200 in books. It was all these books. This book is $300. This one's $400. I spent $1,200 in books, and I didn't crack one of them.
So you're like, what I'm going to do is cheat off the person next to me, who I'm
Exactly.
clearly 15 years older than.
Exactly. And that's why now my job does not require a degree.
Now slap your hands. Now spread those wings. Do-do-do-do. Feather your bangs. Shake your buns. That's nice. Now think about your dad. What's your dad like? I want to meet that dad. Do-do-do-do.
Cow